The year is 1219. The Mongol Empire, a force forged in the crucible of the unforgiving steppe, has just shattered the Khwarezmian Empire. Its Shah, Ala ad-Din Muhammad, is a fugitive, hunted across the desolate landscapes of Persia. Genghis Khan, the Great Khan, turns to two of his most formidable commanders, Jebe and Subutai, who are his dogs of war, and gives them an unprecedented mission. Take 20,000 men, pursue the Shah to the ends of the earth, and do not return until his head is in your hands. But this was never just a simple manhunt. It was the beginning of something far greater, a reconnaissance in force that would become one of the most audacious military campaigns in history. Subutai, the strategist, the patient hunter. Jebe, the arrow, a former enemy, now one of the Khan's most loyal and aggressive generals. Together they were a perfect storm of military genius. Their pursuit of the Shah was relentless. They swept through Persia, a whirlwind of destruction for any who dared resist, a promise of mercy for those who submitted. Cities fell, armies scattered. The Shah, a broken man, fled to a remote island in the Caspian Sea, where he died of disease, alone and destitute. Mission accomplished, it would seem. But for Subutai and Jebe, this was only the beginning. With the Shah dead, a new, far more ambitious plan took shape. They requested permission from the Great Khan not to return east, but to push north, to circle the Caspian Sea and explore the unknown lands beyond. This was terra incognita, the wild, untamed frontier of the western steppe. Genghis Khan, ever the visionary, agreed. This was not a conquest. It was an intelligence-gathering mission on a scale the world had never seen. They were to map the lands, study the peoples, and identify the powers that lay in the path of future Mongol expansion. Their journey took them into the formidable Caucasus Mountains, a labyrinth of treacherous passes and hostile kingdoms. They faced the powerful Georgians, a Christian kingdom famed for its heavy cavalry. In a brilliant display of feigned retreat, a classic Mongol tactic, Jebe lured the confident Georgian army into a trap. From the ambush, Subutai's forces descended, annihilating the elite of the Georgian military. They fought their way through Alans, Lesgians, and Circassians, a brutal gauntlet that tested their endurance and skill at every turn. Emerging from the mountains, they found themselves on the vast Pontic Caspian steppe, the ancestral homeland of countless nomadic peoples. Here they encountered the Cumans, a powerful Turkic confederation who ruled this sea of grass. The Cumans, seeing the Mongols as rivals, forged an unlikely alliance. They reached out to their relatives, the Rus princes, warning them of a new, terrifying threat from the east. A great coalition was formed, a massive army of Cuman warriors and the combined forces of numerous Rus principalities, including Kiev, Chernigov, and Galicia-Volhynia. They were confident their sheer numbers, perhaps 80,000 strong, would crush this mysterious invading force. The Rus and Cuman leaders, led by princes like Mstislav the Bold and Mstislav of Kiev, met the Mongol vanguard at the Dnieper River. The Mongols, outnumbered 4-1, did something extraordinary. They retreated. For 9 long days they pulled the massive coalition army deeper and deeper into the steppe, stretching their supply lines, sowing discord among their commanders, and luring them towards a battlefield of Subutai's choosing. The pursuit was arrogant and disorganized. The younger, bolder princes raced ahead, while the older, more cautious ones lagged behind. This was exactly what Subutai had planned. Finally, on the 31st of May, 1223, on the banks of a small, insignificant river called the Kalka River, the trap was sprung. The Mongol vanguard suddenly turned and attacked the overextended Cuman and Rus forces. The Cuman cavalry struck with sudden terror, broke and fled, crashing straight into the ranks of the advancing Rus princes, throwing the entire army into chaos. What followed was not a battle, it was a massacre. The Mongol heavy cavalry smashed into the disordered lines, while their horse archers rained death from the flanks. The coalition, so confident just hours before, completely disintegrated. Stanisław the Bold and his allies managed to escape, but thousands of others were cut down as they fled. A contingent led by Mstislav of Kiev made a stand in a fortified camp. For 3 days they held out. Subutai, wanting to end the siege, sent envoys. He offered a solemn promise. If they surrendered, no blood of the princes or their men would be shed. They would be ransomed. Exhausted and without hope, the Rus defenders agreed. They laid down their arms and surrendered. Subutai kept his word in the most chillingly literal way imaginable. The Mongol code forbade the shedding of royal blood upon the ground. So the captured princes were bound and laid beneath a large wooden platform. And upon this platform Subutai, Jebe, and their officers held a victory feast. The princes were crushed to death under the weight of their conqueror's celebration, their screams muffled by the revelry above. Their blood never touched the earth. This was the first brutal lesson Europe would learn about the Mongols. Their promises could be as terrifying as their arrows. After the Kalka River, the Mongols continued their raid, striking the Genoese trading post of Sudak in Crimea before finally turning east toward home. Their epic journey was nearly complete, but the steppe had one last challenge for them. As they crossed the Volga River, they were ambushed by the Volga Bulgars, suffering a rare defeat. Even the invincible Mongols were not gods, but it was a minor setback in a campaign of breathtaking success. After nearly 3 years and more than 4,500 miles, Jebe and Subutai returned to the main Mongol army. They had circled the largest inland sea on earth, defeated dozens of armies, mapped vast territories, and brought back priceless intelligence about the lands and peoples of the West. They had made the first Mongol contact with Europe, a contact written in blood and terror. The name Tartar, a fearful misnomer for the Mongols, began to be whispered in the courts and monasteries of a continent that had no idea what was coming. Jebe, the arrow, would die of a fever shortly after their return, his legendary journey complete. But Subutai, the patient strategist, had seen the weakness of the West. He had taken its measure, and he would be back. The great raid was over, but the Mongol storm was just beginning to gather. What happened at the Kalka River was not an ending. It was an overture. Thank you for watching. If you found this journey into the past as captivating as we did, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more stories from the annals of history.